Welcome to day 3, highlights from Henley Royal Regatta, another baking day which has had us all racing for the shade of these beautiful trees. Out on the water, the racing is never more exciting than with coxless fours. We're going to start with 2 straight fours races. In the Y-fold, it's Thames versus Bayer Leverkusen, and then in the visitors, Oxford Brookes versus the Kiwis.
Coming towards the halfway mark, and the crew's still pretty much locked together. If anything, it looks to me from this shot here like Thames have made a move. Although we can see from that board that showed the number 1 was facing towards us, which means the number 2 was facing towards that following boat who take the times and radio back the information. The fact they're showing a number 2 means the crew on station 2, that's Bayer Leverkusen, are still just in the lead. Well, these Bayer Leverkusen crews won't both want to be sent home by the Thames Rowing Club, as you say, by Ben Lewis's men. This crew now holding about a 3/4 length lead, but there's still plenty of rowing left in this race. They're coming down past Upper Thames, then they'll get to Remmenham Club, and that's where the crew from Thames Rowing Club are likely to get a pretty big cheer. Well, they've still got a big race on their hands now. They're just getting down to the grandstands. They're getting down to the competitors' enclosure. I think the crew from Thames will be realising they're starting to come back. They're starting to make a move.
They're putting them under great pressure, aren't they? You can almost see the Bayer Leverkusen crew starting to lose their form a little bit as Thames are really upping the ante here as they come into the finish line.
That's a great spot, Adam. You can just see the little twitch in the boat as it's moving, that Bayer Leverkusen boat. They're virtually stroke for stroke, bow ball to bow ball. It's about 10 strokes to go from here, and this is still anyone's race. So we're coming down to the line, the stroke rate's going up and up. Who's the cleanest? Who's going to keep their puddles moving? Who's going to do nothing to check the boat, keep it accelerated, coming down to a photo, and I'm not going to call that one.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? What a great finish.
They're beside our commentary box here. The heads are down in the crews. I think we're going to have to wait for a replay of this one. Let's take a look at it. That's Thames on the far side, and that looks to me like 2 feet. 2 feet win for Thames. I think that's going to be called as.
Attention. Go.
There's plenty of power coming down in both these boats. I'm expecting this to be an aggressive and full-on start from both.
Lots of power there, wasn't it? But quite controlled as well. Quite steady and low on the rate. But obviously just both crews gripping up lots of power and sending those oars away.
And Petroni.
Well, the umpire straight onto the flag to encourage the crew from New Zealand to get back onto the station.
As we get here, we get to the progress board, we'll just see that Brookes have probably just sniffed out a lead here. And there you go, number 1 just going up at the quarter mile, which just signals that Brookes on the left-hand side in the yellow boat taking an early lead over the Kiwi crew on our right-hand side in the white boat.
And this one is a great Henley race. This is what we've come for, pretty much side by side. Pretty much out in this area of the course we like to call the Badlands, where you're a long way from anywhere. There's the crowd on there. It's now just down to you and your crew pounding it out, head-to-head racing. It is boat number 2. That's the Buckinghamshire station. The crew from New Zealand have got a small lead at this stage.
But Brookes don't die easily, do they? They're really good fighters, so I expect this to go all the way to the line. Brookes looking controlled and with their rowing, just drifting a little bit towards the Kiwi crew, but the Kiwis are outgoing and gunning for it fast. Yeah, both crews just locking up the water nicely. They're looking looking quite relaxed there in the Brookes boat, actually, to be honest. I think they've probably got more in the tank here, and hopefully we'll see a fiery finish from them.
Well, it is Tom Esterades in that stroke seat, looking impassive behind the sunglasses, just going along, pounding it down, backed up by Christopher Tebb, Ollie Morgan and Barnabas Fox, and they've started to move back.
They have, haven't they? They've drawn it back to half a length, and that looking that relaxed is a positive sign. Wind's picking up a bit, isn't it?
Wind's picking up in our commentary box. We've got a few bits of paper starting to go flying, and hopefully the crews will be finding the conditions okay out there on the course. It still looks dead calm. It's all on now as they're coming down the progress board. This is probably 10 strokes to go to the line. The crew from New Zealand still hanging on. The crew from Brookes coming back at them stroke by stroke. Here we are, pretty much the same rate, coming in towards the line. It's all on. The home crowd will be cheering for Brookes. Brookes trying to step up and up. They're coming towards the line. This one's going to be very, very tough to call. I think we're going to have to wait for the photograph. I've got an idea of who I think's got it, but I'm sure we're going to wait for a photo finish. The crews are beside us now. I don't think they know quite whether they've got it. And let's get confirmation. You see that poppy water? There is a bit of wind out there now.
This is so close. Just to the Kiwis there.
Now we're going to turn our attention to two All-American quarterfinals. First in the women's eights, the Remnant. This is the UW Huskies, University of Washington, against Princeton Training Center. And then in the Temple, the men's student event, it's Princeton versus Yale.
This is fundamentally the USA Under-23 women's eight, so this is going to be a tight one.
Well, coming up towards the top of the island, we see the Washington crews made a fantastic start on the near side here, and they're really putting the marker down and saying, you might be wearing the USA vest, but we're going to take you on here at Henley Royal Regatta.
Washington! No, he's not enjoying that. You want to stay on your side, you don't want to annoy Boris, because he has been known to disqualify crews before.
Well, he's held that flag out for a good amount of time. She's responded eventually. I heard him say thank you, and now we see him put that flag away.
And this Washington crew are sitting in clear water, but the Princeton Training Center sitting behind them. They're glittered with pretty exceptional athletes, medals left, right, and center from Junior Worlds, Under-23 Worlds. Yeah, we can see there that both crews are trying to edge into the middle a little bit. I wonder if Princeton are going to feel a bit of dirty water off the back of this Washington crew.
Well, we're coming down towards the line now. This is the camera on the progress board, and we are seeing a fantastic race from the crew from the University of Washington here at Henley. They took it on right out of the start, and they've held it all the way down the course. I'm sure they're going to be delighted as you see them cross the line just about a length ahead of the Princeton Training Center, opening up to 3/4 of a length lead.
Yes, the Tigers will now, at Princeton on your right screen, will now need to start to increase the stroke rating. If you can't overpower someone, you need to rush or slide and throw in some more strokes.
Because as any of us heavyweights know, if you've ever raced a lightweight crew, you want them to stop, you want them to give up. But this crew from Princeton have not come all this way to give up. They're going to look to raise that stroke rate, as you say, pick up the pace, pick up the power, stay efficient and really challenge. And they've got the overlap now coming into the enclosures.
There's no worse crew to race as a heavyweight than a lightweight. As a former lightweight and heavyweight, lightweights just keep coming at you.
And they are coming at them. There was 3/4 of a length. I think it's down to only half a length now. And there's still plenty of race course here. Still a good 2 minutes or so before they get to the finish line. And Princeton, I think, are moving. And Princeton really need to make something happen fast now. I think Yale have just got them at arm's length, and they're just trying to keep them there as they come down. You can see the distance. That's all it is to get to the finish line.
Princeton should start winding it up now. Yale has the advantage of watching this race unfold, but I can assure you no one in the Yale boat is comfortable.
No one is comfortable at all. The faces will be showing the pain. They'll be trying to hold it together, keep the technique working, keep the efficiency working. Don't mess up. Definitely don't mess up in these final strokes.
Here comes Princeton.
Coming towards the line.
It's going to be close.
Sprint going. They've got the sprint going. We're coming down to the line. This one is going to be close.
Oh.
Well, I think Yale have held on. It looked like about a canvas to me at the end. We might wait and we'll see it in slow motion, but what a race.
What a race. There it is, less than a canvas.
This is what everyone wants to end up with on Sunday, your name engraved on one of these beautiful trophies. We're going to go back to the action in the Remnant, the women's eights. This is Yale again versus Nereus this time, and then a Diamond Jubilee between Latimer Upper and the Germans, Kreuzgasse.
It's as good as level at the moment, isn't it? There's almost nothing in it. I just wonder, in fact, if the Dutch are creeping ahead, the nearest to the camera on the buck station, just inched ahead, but there's nothing in it. There's no indication as to what will happen for the rest of the race. So, well into the race.
I mean, that is neck and neck.
It's an astonishing post-lunch opening race, isn't it? It could not be closer.
Absolutely brilliant. The tactics are just to get right onto the line, your fastest racing speed. Both crews are looking for that full power every stroke. Really starting to see the Dutch make a move now. The efficiency of their rowing, I think, is just enabling them to keep the pace high. They've made a big move there, going through the Yale crew. So what have you got, Yale, now? You've been asked a question by the Dutch girls. What have you got?
But with a length of advantage, the Dutch here are in great shape, aren't they? It's just, can they hang on to that advantage for the final few hundred metres of this race?
So they've given the counter punch, and the question then goes back to the Dutch cox about what she can get out of her crew now.
Well, this is eights racing at its best. America against the Netherlands effectively. Yale are trying to inch back into this race, an inch back level. The Dutch are trying to hang on. Everyone will be hurting now.
This is big pain time. The crowds are all running to the bank to have a look. My goodness, Yale are getting, I think they're going to get their bow ball in front now. They've got more power. They're finding more power. What's going to happen? The last few strokes, the calls will be coming from the cox. What have you got left? They've got ahead. Yale have gone through. They've got a nose in touch.
It looks likely that Yale will be able to nip past. It was a perfectly timed race, a perfectly executed race from Yale's point of view. And in the end, they win it with some ease, a whole length. But for much of the course, it didn't look likely, did it? That it would be a whole length dividing both Yale and the Dutch crew.
It's never easy umpiring these races out on a narrow course. You've constantly got to make a judgment about who's in the right and who's in the wrong place on the river. You decide with this one. It's a ladies' plate race.
It looks like the Germans have been warned. We're now joining the race towards the middle of the course. The Germans continuously warned by the umpire there. You can't move across any longer at all at Henley, but they're intruding on the water here of the Australian crews. There we go. He's got the megaphone out now and is warning very loudly.
Well, there's no doubt about it. The Germans are rowing right down the middle of the course and indeed getting further across, and this is problems for the Germans now.
Yeah, so the rule here for our viewers who are not aware is you need to stay on your side of the dividing line, and the Germans clearly not. Actually, the Australians not being very... but they're allowing themselves to be pushed around, actually.
Michael de Soulevy is the cox for the Berliner Ruder Club. He's not going to have another warning. He's had enough, the umpire, and if they don't get back onto their side of the river, they're in trouble.
Yeah, that flag is out, and it would be very unwise for Michael de Soulevy in the German cox's seat not to move over. This is Boris Rankov. He's been an umpire who has been involved in some controversy previously. He puts his flag down. This is a really very close race. I think the Australians have made a bit of distance here, Tim.
They have, yes. They've narrowed the gap, haven't they? Still at the bottom of your picture there, the Germans leading, but they're getting another warning, and the umpire is again unimpressed with the route that Michael de Soulevy is choosing to take. The cox for the German boat is once again in hot water.
Well, this is very close. It could go all the way. There's some real experience in the stern of this German boat. We've got Björn Birkner, who has been in the German men's team, in the men's 4- and in the men's cox pair, and behind him Anton Braun was a Rio competitor for Germany in the men's 4, and so they've got some experience there, and both of those men should be telling their cox not to get into any further trouble. It's not doing them any good here, and I think the Australians continue to take advantage.
And the Germans will be first over the line, but I wonder if we've heard the last of this race.
Well, I think, the Australians probably allowed themselves to be moved over a bit too far to the side. If they'd held their station a bit more, they may have actually drawn the umpire into a more aggressive manoeuvre. They both crossed the line here. Looks like the Germans have won by about half a length. But the hand in the stroke seat, surprisingly, of the Australian crew goes up as George Finlayson appeals to the umpire. I'm looking at Boris Rankov. Yes. Tells Berliner to wait there.
I do not think we've heard the last of this, and Boris Rankov, the umpire, is heading across very purposefully towards Berliner Ruder Club's boat.
Boris Rankov, of course, the famous Oxford rower. Quizzing them. Why did you ignore my warnings?
Yes, you did. And if you didn't hear me, your stroke should have been telling you. That's your responsibility. If you do that again tomorrow, you'll be out. Do you understand? Do not mess around with us. You heard. Do not lie to me. You heard.
That's it for day 3 at Henley Royal Regatta. Another beautiful day out on the river. You can watch all of it back, or any particular race, on our YouTube channel, of course. We'll be back tomorrow, Saturday, semi-final day. It's going to be another stunner. Good night. I'm off for a drink.